If you're exhausted, running on caffeine and sheer willpower, and wondering if your baby will ever sleep through the night, you are not alone. Nothing prepares you for the roller coaster that is baby sleep. One night, they sleep 5 hours straight, and you think, finally, I've cracked the code, only for the next night to be an absolute disaster. It's frustrating, unpredictable, and at times completely overwhelming. But here's the good news. There are ways to make it easier. Small, simple changes that actually work to help your baby sleep longer and better. Not complicated sleep training methods, not magic solutions, just realistic, practical tweaks that will help you get more rest. So today, I'm sharing 7 baby sleep hacks that every exhausted parent needs to know. And make sure you stick around because hack number 3 is an absolute game changer if your baby wakes up way too often at night. Let's get started. One of the biggest mistakes parents make is waiting too long to put their baby to sleep. It seems logical to wait for clear signs that your baby is tired, yawning, eye rubbing, fussiness, but by the time you see those cues, you may have already missed the ideal window. An overtired baby doesn't just get fussy. They become restless, cranky, and wired with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Their body is literally fighting against sleep, making it harder, not easier, to settle down. Instead of waiting for obvious sleep cues, pay attention to wake windows, the amount of time your baby can be awake before they need to sleep again. These windows change as they grow. A newborn might only last 45 minutes to an hour before needing sleep, while a 6-month-old can handle 2 to 3 hours. Keeping an eye on the clock and starting the bedtime routine before your baby becomes overtired can make a huge difference. Think of it like this. If you wait until your baby is overtired, it's like trying to get a hyperactive toddler to sit still after a sugar rush. But if you catch that sweet spot, they drift off much more easily. Here's something most parents don't realize. Where your baby sleeps is just as important as when they sleep. Imagine trying to sleep in a room with bright lights, random noises, and distractions everywhere. Not exactly restful, right? Babies are even more sensitive to their environment than we are, yet many parents don't realize how much their surroundings affect sleep. Creating a sleep cave, a dark, quiet, and comfortable environment, can be a game changer. Darkness is key because light signals to the brain that it's time to be awake. Even small amounts of light, like from street lights or a hallway lamp, can interfere with melatonin production, making it harder for your baby to settle and stay asleep. Blackout curtains can make a huge difference. If your baby is waking up at the crack of dawn or struggling with short naps, a pitch black room can help them sleep longer. At night, keeping lighting dim before bedtime can also help their body recognize that sleep is coming. Noise can be another big disruptor. While you might think silence is best, babies are actually used to constant noise from their time in the womb. A white noise machine mimics that environment, drowning out sudden sounds like a barking dog or a creaky floorboard. If your baby tends to wake up easily, introducing white noise can prevent those wake-ups from turning into full-blown crying sessions. Another overlooked factor? Temperature. Overheating can cause restlessness, while being too cold can wake them up as well. The ideal sleep temperature for babies is between 68 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. A lightweight sleep sack instead of loose blankets keeps them cozy and safe. Now, even if you create the perfect sleep environment, there's something else that can make sleep worse: rushing in too quickly. You finally get your baby to sleep. You sneak out of the room like a ninja, hoping for at least a few hours of rest. But then, 10 minutes later, you hear a whimper. Your heart races. You rush in to soothe them before they fully wake up. Here's the thing. Babies naturally wake up between sleep cycles. Just like adults, they go through different sleep stages, but unlike us, they don't always know how to connect those cycles yet. Sometimes they shift, make noises, or even cry out without actually being awake. If you rush in the second you hear a noise, you might actually be waking them up fully instead of letting them settle back down on their own. Instead, pause. The next time your baby stirs, wait just a minute. See if they truly need you or if they're just adjusting in their sleep. If they start crying and escalating, of course, respond to them. But if they're just fussing lightly, they may drift back off without any intervention. This doesn't mean letting your baby cry endlessly or ignoring their needs. It just means giving them a little space to figure it out before you intervene. A gentle approach to this is using a light touch or a soft shh sound from the doorway instead of immediately picking them up. Sometimes a small reassurance is all they need to keep sleeping. Now let's be real, not all babies can self-soothe instantly. Some will still need your help. But if you always intervene the moment they make a sound, they never get the chance to connect their own sleep cycles. And that's a huge reason why some babies wake up every 45 minutes on the dot. Which brings us to the next hack. You finally get your baby to sleep, and for the first 30 minutes, things are peaceful. Then, right at the 45-minute mark, like clockwork, they wake up. Every single time. This is one of the most common sleep struggles parents face, and it's all because of how baby sleep cycles work. Babies go through shorter sleep cycles than adults, about 40 to 50 minutes. At the end of each cycle, they naturally stir before transitioning into the next one. The problem? Some babies haven't learned how to connect those cycles yet, so instead of drifting back into deeper sleep, they wake up fully. So, how do you stop these frustrating wake-ups? One technique that works for many parents is something called the wake-to-sleep method. Here's how it works. About 5 to 10 minutes before your baby usually wakes up, gently stir them without waking them completely. You can do this by lightly rubbing their tummy, repositioning them slightly, or even just adjusting their blanket. The goal is to bring them into a lighter stage of sleep without fully waking them, so they naturally shift into their next sleep cycle. It sounds strange, but by disrupting the cycle just enough, you help their body learn to transition more smoothly into the next phase of sleep, which can lead to longer naps and fewer wake-ups at night. Now, this doesn't work for every baby, and it might take a few tries before you see results. But if your baby consistently wakes up at the same time every night, this simple trick is worth experimenting with. Another thing that helps babies sleep longer? A consistent pre-sleep routine, which is what we're covering in the next hack. Have you ever noticed how you naturally start winding down before bed? Maybe you dim the lights, brush your teeth, read a book. Without even thinking about it, your body knows it's time to sleep because of those familiar steps. Babies need the same kind of cues, a predictable wind-down routine that signals to their brain it's time to sleep. The key to a good routine isn't length, it's consistency. Babies thrive on patterns, and a familiar set of steps before bedtime helps trigger their natural sleep response. A simple 10 to 15 minute bedtime routine could look something like this. Dim the lights. This helps their body start producing melatonin, the sleep hormone. Change into pajamas and a sleep sack, a physical cue that sleep is coming. A short feeding or bottle, but not right before sleep so they don't become reliant on feeding to doze off. Soft lullabies or white noise, creating an auditory sleep cue. Gentle rocking or cuddles, calming but not fully putting them to sleep. The most important thing? Doing the same steps in the same order every night. Over time, your baby's brain automatically starts winding down as soon as the routine begins, making it easier for them to fall asleep. But here's where things get tricky. If your baby relies on rocking, feeding, or holding to fall asleep, they're going to expect that same thing every time they wake up during the night. That's why one of the most powerful sleep skills you can teach your baby is falling asleep on their own, which is exactly what we'll cover in hack number 6. One of the biggest reasons babies wake up frequently at night isn't hunger, teething, or discomfort. It's because they don't know how to fall asleep without help. If your baby is always rocked, fed, or bounced to sleep, they learn to associate sleep with that action. And when they wake up in the night, they don't know how to get back to sleep without the same help. The key to teaching longer sleep stretches is helping your baby fall asleep independently, which means putting them down drowsy but awake. This doesn't mean just plopping them into the crib and walking away. It's a gradual process, and it works best if you follow these steps. Step 1. Shift soothing to before bedtime. If your baby is used to falling asleep while nursing, rocking, or holding, start doing that same soothing activity earlier in the routine, but not as the very last step. For example, if rocking usually puts them to sleep, rock until they're drowsy, then lay them down before they're fully asleep. Step 2, add a consistent sleep cue. A white noise machine, comfort phrase, or light patting can become their new sleep association. If they start fussing, try these things before picking them up. Step 3, give them a minute. Babies will often fuss for a few seconds as they adjust to a new sleep pattern. Wait before rushing in. Sometimes they'll settle on their own. It might take a few nights, but as your baby learns how to fall asleep without needing you every single time, you'll start to see longer stretches of sleep at night. Now let's be realistic. Not all babies will magically sleep through the night just because they learn to fall asleep on their own. That's where hack number 7 comes in, using a dream feed to maximize your sleep stretches. You finally got your baby down for the night. You tiptoe to bed, hoping for a few hours of uninterrupted sleep, and just when you finally start to drift off, your baby wakes up hungry. It's frustrating, especially when it happens every single night at the same time. But there's a simple trick that can help stretch those first few hours of sleep. The dream feed. A dream feed is when you gently feed your baby one last time before you go to bed, without fully waking them up. The goal is to top them off so they sleep a longer stretch before their next wake up. Here's how to do it right. Step 1, time it right. A good time for a dream feed is between 10 p.m. and 11:30 p.m., depending on when your baby naturally wakes up for their first night feed. If they normally wake up around midnight or 1 a.m., offering a dream feed an hour earlier can help prevent that wake up. Step 2, keep it low stimulation. The key to a successful dream feed is keeping the environment calm and dark. Don't turn on bright lights or talk too much. Keep movements slow and gentle, just enough to encourage them to eat while staying drowsy. If they don't wake enough to latch or drink, try stroking their cheek or lightly tickling their feet to encourage sucking without making them fully alert. Step 3, no full wake-ups after feeding. Once they've eaten, place them back in their crib without fully waking them up. Don't burp them aggressively and avoid changing their diaper unless absolutely necessary. The goal is for them to sleep through the transition so they don't even realize they had a feed. Does the dream feed work for every baby? Not necessarily. Some babies will still wake at their usual time, no matter how much they eat before bed. Others might start waking up even earlier because their sleep cycle gets disrupted. The trick is to test it for 4 to 5 nights and see if it makes a difference. If your baby sleeps longer after the dream feed, it's worth keeping in your routine. If they still wake up at the same time, or worse, wake up more, it might not be the right fit for them. For many babies, though, a well-timed dream feed can buy parents an extra 2 to 3 hours of sleep, which, let's be honest, can feel life-changing. We've covered 7 powerful baby sleep hacks, from catching the sleepy window at bedtime to stopping early morning wake-ups. If there's one key takeaway, it's this: sleep is a skill that babies learn over time. Some changes work overnight, others take a few weeks of consistency before you see results. So be patient, tweak things as needed, and most importantly, give yourself grace. You're doing an amazing job, even on the nights that feel impossible. Which of these sleep hacks are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe for more real, practical parenting tips every week. You've got this. See you next time.